So many network marketers fall in love with a health and wellness product, and then they realize that there's an incredible opportunity to build the lifestyle and income of their dreams. But what happens when you get started and you run out of friends and family to talk to, and what you're doing on social media just isn't quite getting you where you want to be? Well, the truth is, it's probably not your fault. It just takes a little marketing know-how that you may not be getting from anywhere else. So on this podcast, I'm sharing with you the secrets that I've been able to learn from all of my top earner friends and mentors. I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly what it takes to get people excited about the wellness products that you have to offer, to help people improve their lives, and to get you to the rank that you want to be at. My name is Soraya Goddard, and this is Secrets to Marketing Your Wellness MLM. Hey, what's up, guys? Soraya back with more Instagram knowledge, discussion, thoughts, strategies, everything so that you can maximize Instagram for your network marketing business and share about the products that you love so that you can help other people on their health and wellness journey. First of all, I have to thank you guys so much for the love on the last 2 episodes that I've done, all about Instagram. We did one on Instagram, kind of the feed, if you will, like traditionally what people have looked at as Instagram. And then we did a whole episode on hashtags. And hashtags are super important, as is still your feed, although we're going to get into, is that going to continue to be the case in this episode? So we're talking today about Instagram stories, okay? So if you don't know what Instagram stories are, you need to definitely pay attention to this episode, because here's a fun fact. People are not paying attention to their feeds anymore. And this is not just me conjecturing. There is actual data coming from Instagram, of course, owned by Facebook, but Instagram publishes data on who is using what features. And overwhelmingly, people are spending the majority of their time on Instagram stories. Is that not crazy? So crazy. I mean, it actually isn't that crazy though, because I spend the majority of my time on Instagram watching Instagram stories. So I did an informal poll with my audience, and 75% of you said that you spend more time on Instagram stories than you do on people's feeds. In fact, many of you don't even go to your feed anymore, or if you do, you just check it a little bit, maybe a specific account that you're obsessed with or that you really, really like, or maybe just your own account, and then you go straight to Instagram stories. And I guarantee you this will continue to be the trend. So if that doesn't have your attention as a marketer, I don't know what should. Your audience doesn't want as much of your picture perfect, Lightroom edited, filtered, beautiful lifestyle photos, right? They just don't want that. What they want is you talking to them in little bits, in little consumable bits throughout the day, so that you can convey who you are in a much less formal way than your feed does. So, oh my God, there's a lot to unpack. I'm so excited about this. I am obsessed with Instagram stories. I'll say it 18 million times. I love it. I love using them. I was an early adopter. I started using them right away. So if you are not using them and you are on Instagram, you're missing out. Now, disclaimer, if you don't use Instagram and you don't like it and you just find it overwhelming, or you can't get past the tech challenges, or you don't see the point, then don't do it. I am not here to convince you that you should be on a platform that you don't like, because if you don't like it, you're going to show up with a negative attitude or just kind of some terrible energy, and you're not going to enjoy it, and you're certainly not going to be consistent with it. So don't be on it. That's my number one tip, right? And I will say that across every social media platform. If you don't love it, don't do it, okay? Now that said, if you do love it and you do like Instagram, or you're motivated to learn, then there's a lot of good news in today's episode for you, okay? So let's talk about Instagram stories in general. Let's talk about ideas and some features that you might want to use. And then I want to get your feedback, and I want you guys to tag me in your stories and maybe play around with some things that I'm going to recommend that you do, okay? The goal here, as you know, for all of you guys listening to this podcast, the goal here is to get you to share more of yourself so that people can know, like, and trust you. I've talked about this in almost every single episode of this podcast so far. The goal is really to get people to know, like, and trust you so that you can share with them the knowledge that you have, and eventually you can offer them to take a look at what your product, service, or opportunities are. But if you're listening to this, most of you are in health and wellness. And so you're going to maybe want to invite them to check out your skincare or whatever it is that you've got going on. All right. Instagram stories. The cool thing about Instagram stories is that they give people a less formal peek into your day. And so if you haven't played around with them and you don't know how to do that, this podcast is not going to teach you that. You guys can figure that out on YouTube or whatever. There's plenty of really good tutorials. It's very, very simple. You could probably just figure it out on your own, but you can either take static pictures or up to 15 seconds of video on an Instagram story. Now, you aren't limited to the number of Instagram stories that you have. Maybe you are, I don't know, but you can post many all day long and they just keep piling up. So you can really give people an amazing peek into your day in a much less formal way than an edited photo on your feed would. Now, this is good news for those of you guys who aren't great photo takers, let's be honest. It's also really good news for those of you who do have creative you have an eye for Instagram, because you can create amazingly beautiful stories, or even just stories that have a little bit of love and attention, and they will be so effective. So for the general network marketer, we want to have you take people along in your lifestyle journey. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't mean flashing cars and like money and, whatever. What I mean by your lifestyle is the more that they get to know you and what you do during the day and your likes and your dislikes and your personality, the more that people are going to trust you when you make a recommendation for them to check out your products. You can also show them how you use your products and what benefits of your products you gain. So I've mentioned this before, but you should be using your products on a daily basis, and this should give you tons of testimonials. And again, know, like, and trust cannot be understated overstated, but really getting people to understand who you are gives them an opportunity to connect with why you use your products. So I'm going to talk to you about some ideas and features and things that you might want to be using in your Instagram stories, and you can pick and choose ones that you might want to try, experiment. The cool thing about Instagram stories is that it goes away within 24 hours. Or if you upload one that sucks, you just delete it. It is no big deal. It's so easy, and you can track all the metrics. Oh, it's just a gold mine of information as a marketer. And if you are not using your marketing hat when you're using Instagram stories, if you don't think like a marketer doing this, you are just missing out. So let's talk about Instagram stories as data collection. So when you are using your Instagram stories, if you are posting on your own feed, which you should be, right? When you post, you can go back into the stories that you posted and you can swipe up and see who is watching your story, okay? So I'm actually looking at my phone. If you guys have your phone out and you can, kind of follow along. But as you post your stories, throughout the day, you can go back and check and see who is watching your stories. And I don't think you should be concerned with, who watches every individual frame, but I do think you should get a general sense of what content people are responding to. Are people watching you as you're just talking to the camera and, using the video function? Are people looking at still photos? Are people maybe looking at the first of 17 videos, but then they're tailing off because they're not really interested anymore? And some of that is normal, but just pay attention to kind of trends, see what people are reacting to. Also, you can see who is looking at your stories. So if you have a high follower count, you aren't going to start to recognize many names. But if you have an average, or you're just starting out on Instagram, stories are still really, really, really powerful because you can see individuals. You can see exactly who is checking out your stuff. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised who checks out your stuff and who doesn't. So just take some time to really every single day check who is watching your stuff. Now, how and what are you going to share? So you're going to just share little snippets throughout your day. The less structured, the better. Now, if you want to make it that you go on Instagram stories and you, let's just say, post your morning supplement routine every single day, that's totally fine. Or if you want to create some sort of expectation where people know what they're getting with your stories, that's totally fine. But most people just use it where they give little updates, maybe of things that they're working on or what their daily life is like, or little humorous bits. Show your personality. Tell jokes if you're good at telling jokes, or show outfits if you like, dressing well. Whatever your thing is, right? You should be showing that thing. I would also say that you can probably show your products in a little more liberal way on Instagram stories than I would ever recommend on your feed. Okay. So this is where you can talk about, hey, I use this because it makes me feel amazing, or this is how I use this product. And you can even get kind of sneaky and you can cover up labels. I use that all the time where I don't really show the entire product, or maybe I'll have like the product in the background where it's blurry and my face up at the front. And so I'm talking about the benefits of my product, not in a really salesy direct way, of course, because we don't want to violate our normal marketing rules, but just talking about like my nighttime routine or my morning routine or my workout routine or anything that my product is related to. And so I might have the product like placed on the bathroom counter in the background where they can't quite see the label. And I will tell you, every single time I do that, every single time I've got someone going, "Oh, what are you using? I couldn't quite see the label." I'm like, haha, that was on purpose. Like, test it, see what people respond to, see what people are direct messaging you about. And again, like I talked about in the past 2 episodes, DMs are so important on Instagram. You can also share testimonials on Instagram. So I like to screenshot things and upload them, maybe black out the person's name or the product name. I would highly recommend that, and create some curiosity. So we're going to do the same thing as we would on any other marketing channel and create curiosity to get people reaching out to us. You can also share some screenshots. I would be careful if you're maybe sharing screenshots that are private, but maybe if, let's say, you have a customer group and you've got a really good testimonial, take a screenshot of that with your phone, black out the names or any kind of, personally identifying information and upload that. Or ask for permission before you upload it. You can also get really creative, which I have done, and I know lots of you out there do, where you can kind of teach a little class. So you can actually pre-make Instagram stories. So you can get into Canva, or you can get on, if you're fancy and you want to get on Photoshop or something like that, and you want to actually make Instagram stories, you can go to something like Creative Market and you can download templates if you really, really, really want to get fancy, although none of that is required. But some of you have had success, like I have, in teaching classes. And what do I mean by that? If you've got a product that might need some explanation, or you think that your customers can just use some education about it, and who couldn't, then I like to create little micro classes where I talk about the benefits of some of my products and play around with it, see if people respond to that. And then, of course, have a call to action at the end. So at the end of that little micro class in your Instagram stories, you can have a call to action where you can, if you have over 10,000 followers, ask people to swipe up so that they can go check it out. Or you can have people direct message you, or you can redirect people to the link in your bio so that they can check out more information. All great calls to action. Or just, I think I already said that, but message you for more information. Or, I've even done, because on one account that I have, my personal account, I don't have 10,000 followers yet. So I've said, hey, screenshot this URL and go to this URL. And that actually works too. So just get creative about your call to action, test it. Worst case, it goes away in 24 hours. Now, you can always save your Instagram stories in highlights. And again, I'm not going to walk you through, because this is a podcast. It's not very helpful to visually, we can't visually walk you through how to set up highlights, but you can get online and put, how to set highlights on your Instagram into Google, and I'm sure you can figure it out pretty quickly. But I would offer that if you have Instagram stories that are really, really popular, or that you feel are you've had a lot of reactions to, people direct messaging you or things like that, save them to your highlights, and you can get fancy and you can organize your highlights. That is a ton of fun. And every once in a while I go back into my highlights and I just look and see who's watched what. And if it hasn't, I mean, not a ton of people go back and watch highlights, but certainly some people do. And those are going to be your hardcore followers. So if you notice that people are going in well after you've posted and watching your highlights, maybe you reach out to them. I mean, Instagram is just a source of endless leads, endless leads. Like it's crazy. So get creative, really pay attention to who's watching your stuff, and then don't be afraid to direct message them in just a really cool, like personal way, as if you were reaching out to a friend, maybe over text or something. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other features. Let's talk about polls. Polls are amazing. Oh my God, I love polls. I know you guys have seen them if you've been on Instagram stories because everybody uses them. So here's a couple really creative ways to use polls. And this is all stuff that I have tested and am still testing. I love using all of these features. So you could ask who wants to learn about a certain problem and then ask them to respond in your poll and then reach out to them in direct message, after they've hit the poll button. I hope that makes sense. So let's say I am selling weight loss stuff and you're talking about your weight loss journey and you're like, hey, it's been amazing. I've been able to lose 15 pounds. I used to struggle with it. Now I don't need more because I found some really cool products. Would anyone like to hear like exactly what I've been using? And then put a poll on that Instagram story. And here's another secret ninja trick. Don't put a negative response. So in that case, say, hey, who would like to, hear exactly what I'm using? And then put like, yes and heck yes, or like, yes, duh, like on two sides of the poll. Give them two positive options, right? Two positive options so that the people that just don't want to learn, they'll just click on to the next story. But either way, if someone's hitting the button, you're going to reach out to them. It's so much fun to do. Then you can reach out to them in direct message, and just say, hey, look, here's what I'm doing, or redirect them to a video, or just have a conversation, or cut and paste, whatever you want, right? Whatever you're going to take them to, or just ask them about their pain points if you have the time to get into a conversation with everyone. But my guess is that if you do this over time, you're going to get a lot of people reaching out. Every time I do this, I get lots of leads. I'll just say that, lots of leads. And so I end up just kind of sending them maybe to a landing page or something else. So polls are amazing. You can also just mess around with polls to get people to know, like, and trust you. So I love having polls where people have to guess stuff about me, or maybe they have to guess some health facts. This is a way that you can really get into invest, learn, teach, where you are teaching your audience about things. So, hey, how many grams of sugar, are in this protein shake or something like that, right? Just really interesting things. Just have them guess about stuff. You can bust myths. You can talk about misconceptions. You can talk about the benefits of your product in the polls. You can there's so many really interesting things you can do. So get creative, test polls, and tell me how they go for you. But the key to success with polls is the follow-up, guys. The fortune's in the follow-up. So don't just have a poll for no reason. Have a poll and then reach out to the people who responded. Okay, questions. There is a questions feature on Instagram. This has been around for a couple months now, and it got super, super, super popular in the beginning, where people were like, ask me anything, okay? And people still do that. But I want you to think a little bit smarter as a marketer, okay? So yes, you could do the ask me anything, right? And if you've got a big enough audience and people just genuinely want to know stuff about you, awesome. But I would say that there's so many more ways that you can use that little questions function, right? So you can ask a question about something specific. So if this is personal, right, because we're building know, like, and trust, maybe you ask a question about a recommendation. Hey, give me your recommendations on blah, right? And that's just to build trust and to get people to engage with you. But you can also get really, really interesting responses when you ask specific questions about pain points, right? What are you guys struggling with? So let's say I'll go back to my example as weight loss, right? Let's say you're in the weight loss arena. Ask people what they're struggling with. Ask people for what types of diets they've tried in the past. Ask people for their favorite protein shake recipes. Ask people for things that they need help with. And if you want to get bold, ask them for their email address and that you will send them something really cool. This is, guys, oh my God, I'm giving this out for free. I give this stuff out to coaching clients for big bucks. So I'm spilling all the beans. And that's just because I love you guys. I'm telling you, if you just straight up ask people for their email address and hey, give them a little bit of, why you're asking it for them, of course, but say, hey, look, I've got this really cool recipe sheet and it is full of amazing recipes for dinners that are under 400 calories. I don't know, whatever, right? Whatever your thing is. Tell them, hey, give me your email address. I will send it off to you. So I have told people that I'm going to send them a video and then I ask for their email address. And guess what? They pop in. I jump over to my autoresponder. I plug them in because there's no really efficient way to do that. And then I send that, I add them to a drip campaign or whatever, or I just email them personally and just say, hey, you said you were asking for this. I've also used this for business opportunity stuff. Hey guys, I know you see that I'm working my business. I know that I don't really tell you everything about what I do, but if you're really interested in finding out more, put your email address below and I'll send you a video that explains all sorts of stuff about what I do. And people give me their addresses and it's fantastic. It's such an easy way to get super qualified targeted leads that know who you are. They already understand you. They already trust you and they're giving you their address. It's so great. But the key, again, is the follow-up, right? Polls and questions do nothing for you if you don't follow up with those people. So you've got to give them what they asked for, maybe even ask them a further question and start a conversation. Okay? So that is enough that most of you guys should have weeks of ideas of things to do. But I'm going to talk about the swipe up feature for a little bit too. So if you are over 10,000 followers, and if you're not, do not worry. Do not worry. Again, I sell stuff. I definitely get customers and reps from my Instagram, my personal Instagram at Soraya Goddard, and I don't have 10,000 followers. Now I do have another more product focused Instagram account that I was experimenting with a little while ago. And that one has built up to over 10,000 followers. And so I have one account that has a swipe up and one that doesn't. So what I have learned about the swipe up feature, I love the swipe up feature. It's amazing. And this is only available if you have a business account too. Now, some people warn that they think it's not, like Jenna Kutcher, if you guys know who that is, she's super big on Instagram. She has not converted to a business account because she feels like an Instagram business account because she feels like Facebook and Instagram, the same company, will eventually start to basically do what they did with Pages, which is kind of suppress engagement unless you pay. Now, we might get there and I might regret and eat my words. But right now, I think it makes sense to have a business account. I don't know if you can undo that or not. I'm not quite sure. But either way, I think it's worth it just to have the swipe up feature because it's so convenient. So if you have 10,000 followers and you're a business account, you can add a swipe up link. I know you guys know what I'm talking about if you've been on Instagram stories at all. So what's really cool is that you can swipe up to a landing page or a sales page or an email form or a product or anything, or even better, if you want to get really creative, swipe up to get a free PDF or swipe up to get a coupon code or swipe up to join a Facebook group or swipe up to sign up for a 3-day weight loss challenge. Or, I mean, there are so many really cool things that you can do, or just swipe up to, connect with me on my blog or swipe up to connect with me wherever, whatever is going on. Hey, we've got a team call. If you're interested in learning what we do, swipe up and we'll, connect you to our Saturday morning team calls. I mean, there are so many cool things that you could do. You can send them to a podcast or a blog post regarding the thing that you're showing them. I could do this for days, right? I could talk to you guys about so many creative ways to use the swipe up feature. Bonus tip, ninja marketer tip coming to you right now. If you are going to have them swipe up, it is so awesome to have them swipe up to a page that you have pixeled, okay? If you don't know what a pixel is and you don't know anything about ads, then don't worry about this. This doesn't apply to you. But if you at all run ads, or if you at all want to run ads in the future, and you have a business account on Facebook, and you have pixeled your website or your blog, or even just a landing page or something like that in ClickFunnels, whatever it is, if there's something that you have that's pixeled, have people swipe up to that. So sometimes I will send people to a landing page, even just, I mean, for whatever reason. I'm not super concerned about the sale, but I really just want them to swipe up so that I can have them pixeled. Now, also disclaimer, if you are in Europe, this, I believe, might be against the GDPR stuff, because I think people have to opt in or acknowledge that they're being cookied before they are. But if you're sending them to a page that has that disclaimer, then you're still good. I hope that made sense. So if you're sending them to a GDPR compliant site, then you're okay. And I'm not an expert on that, so don't quote me, but just wanted to shout that out, because I know that I have some European listeners here to the podcast. So you guys have to figure out what the legalities of that are. But have them swipe up to a pixeled landing page. And then if you ever want to run ads, you've got a custom audience of people who you know are your Instagram followers. Then you can target them later on and say, hey, Instagram buddy, love ya, and send them a really targeted ad, which is so cool. So cool. Some really fun stuff that you can do with Facebook stories. I said Facebook stories, excuse me, Instagram stories. Woo! Real life, guys. This is my podcast that I do not edit because I don't care if I mess up, and I don't have time to edit, and I hate editing. So here we are. So couple last tips, and then we'll wrap it up. If people are watching your stories and not necessarily commenting on your feed, go ahead and reach out to them. I mean, this is not a problem either. Also, don't stress about it, right? Not a big problem, because you know that you have, it's like a little mini television channel where people are just watching your reality show and they're seeing what you do. So give them some interesting content, right? Spend a little bit of time, learn how to take good pictures, and don't just randomly use, oh God, I'm gonna rant for 2 seconds. Sorry. Oh, bad filters, guys. Really pay attention to Instagram stories from an artistic manner. Don't just put the crappy filters on your Instagram stories and expect that people will respond, right? It still is Instagram. It's still a visual platform. You can get away with a lot more in Instagram stories, but if you take just a little bit of time to really pay attention to what you are putting in your story, you can create some beautiful stories, just some beautiful stories. I know that if you really want to get fancy artistically, right, you can actually take an Instagram story, or even you could actually take a beautiful picture, upload it to your Instagram story after you've edited it. You can do the same thing with video, or you can take it in Instagram, download it, edit it, and upload it back up. Like, there's lots of really cool things that you can do if you're at that level. If you're not, I would just say right now, concentrate on doing Instagram stories consistently every single day, watching your statistics, looking at your engagement, direct messaging people who are constantly showing interest in you and your product, and asking questions, and then get creative with polls and questions and all the other features, GIFs, funny little things, right? Also, just creep on other people's Instagram accounts and see what they're doing for stories, and see if you can replicate that and test that and see if it works for you. Follow big accounts. Follow the influencers in your company. See what they're doing. See what's working for them and see if you can replicate it. Sometimes your upline will even give you like pre-made Instagram story formats that you can share, right? Now, we don't want to go violating marketing rules. We don't want to go spamming our BOGO, graphics, right? This is not a place for company graphics, guys. I'm going to say this again. This is not a place for your company graphics. Don't do it. Don't do it. You will lose people. You will lose people. It is a place for you to show how you use your product and explain why you love your product so much, and then ask people to reach out to you to maybe get a sale or a deal if that applies, right? This is where you want to do that. And you can take a little bit more liberties, but don't go spammy, right? Keep it really awesome. People should be looking at you as the focus and not your product. And the last tip is something that I already talked about in our Instagram feed episode, but you should have pictures of you. My number one pet peeve with Instagram stories is when people are too scared to show their face. I'm going to make an arbitrary rule that half of your Instagram stories should have your face, at least half. That's a minimum. Half of your Instagram stories should have your face in them, right? They shouldn't be all of your dog and your products. They should be you and your face and you talking to the camera and you doing stuff. It does not matter if your hair is messy or you don't have any makeup on or you don't feel confident or whatever. That's what Instagram stories are all about. So tell your story, make sure people understand what pain you have gone through, what you have done to cure that pain, how you feel now after that pain has been cured, and how you can also show them to get rid of that same pain. Use this as a platform to share that and connect with them on a deep personal level and show your flaws and show your zits and show how you're solving all the things that you use your products for, and people will love you and they'll come back for more. So I hope that helped you guys. Again, tag me in your stories. I would love it if you screenshotted this actual episode wherever you are right now, if you're listening on iTunes or, whatever app you are using to listen to this podcast. Take a screenshot of it, upload it to your Instagram stories, tag me in it, and let people know what you've learned. Or just talk in an Instagram story and tag me in it and share something that you might have learned if you think it might be valuable to you and your listeners. So as always, I really appreciate you guys. If you have any other Instagram questions, let me know. And I will be back soon with more network marketing knowledge for you to grow your business and help people love the products that you already love. Talk soon. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed Secrets to Marketing Your Wellness MLM. Before you go though, I have something for you. If you are looking to grow your audience online via social media so that you can have people getting excited about your products and reaching out to you to learn more, then you need my cheat sheet that has 50 health and wellness Facebook Live topics that will attract an audience to you. It also walks you through the secret 4-part formula that you can follow on both Facebook and Instagram that is proven to have people reaching out to you. And when you get it, I am also sending you guys an audio file for those of you who love to listen to the information on the go. You can get both of those things at www.sorayagoddard.com/podcast. Again, that's sorayagoddard.com/podcast. SORAYAGODDARD.com/podcast. Thanks so much. Chat soon.